Hello everybody, welcome on in, Ruben. Anyone else who may be watching too? Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Last time, our beloved detective Tobias Gregson passed away, and it seems it was at the hands of the Reaper of the Bailey himself, Von Zeeks, but we don't believe that, not for a damn second. And so we are going to be defending him in court against our best friend, Kazuma Sogi, who is playing the role of the prosecution. Oh boy, things are heating up today, aren't they, chat? No more magical newspaper. I know, the bottomless fish and chips. I miss those. I'm gonna miss them so much. I also need to say, again, case where someone is killed in a remote location with the prosecutor conveniently holding a gun that they probably didn't fire at point blank. I wasn't expecting that to be a thing that happened twice in the Ace Attorney series. It's really the major loss of this whole ordeal. I know, we will never understand his secrets. Maybe he got bottomless fries from some restaurant, I don't know, but are they ever truly that bottomless? But yeah, in honor of our great detective, I'm playing his music right now, and I'm gonna miss him. 20 stream watch streak, close enough, welcome back, Edgeworth. Literally. Thank you so much for the 20 stream watch streak, and of course, welcome on in, Mr. E. Enjoy your bread. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm not actually, because I don't want to face down Cosma, but you know what? We're gonna do Von Zeeks proud, damn it! We're gonna do him good. We're gonna prove he's innocent and that he's a chill guy, and who knows what's gonna end up happening. Yeah, I don't have any big announcements or anything, at this point. Let's get on into it, shall we? That is an autosave at a very awkward time. Hold on. Twisted Karma and His Last Bow. Trial Part 1, The Old Bailey. (22nd of November, 8:56 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no. It's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. Monday's pipes. That's right. There's 2 unknown pipes that I need to still figure out, Rube, but they aren't going to be hard to figure out. I just need to stop being lazy. They happen during break. But yes, I do have an extensive list of the pipes. I'll get back to you when I stop being lazy. Thank you for the cardboard pipe on, Speak of the Devil. There we go. There's immense tension in the air here today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. Can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy. Courtesy, if you please. Oh my, I do apologize. However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details, however. I understand that no jury has been selected. A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. Closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruto? An outright victory for science, you must agree. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. What to one man is a little hair problem, is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. Sholmes jump scare, the one and only. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Oh dear, How awful for you. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. Then good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow. Compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases, the Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there's at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor, and what would that be? Your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes, after all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind, my own. What are you trying to say? There's nothing better will happen during the trial now that Sholmes has graced us with his presence. Everything will be fine. You know, no jury, no problem. Thank you for the lurk group. Do enjoy. I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Sorry to barge in. Oh. Gina! That on her arm. It's a warning band, I suppose. Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium? It's been postponed, but I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Hold. Oh, yes, Gina? Why'd you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on? This Reaper bloke, everyone says it was him what killed the boss. I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that. Well, if it was him, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out that it was him what killed boss, then God help him. Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. Eh? At least that may be some solace to the deceased. Please, Otto. Get whoever did this for the boss. Nina. I ain't feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. We gotta find who done this and make the wretch pay. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way into the courtroom at once, please. Alright then. Here we go. It's time, Mr. Nardhodel. Lord Von Zeeks. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. This is a triangle of tragedy. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. This time shine a light on all these dark events. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. Second of November, 9:20 a.m. The old Bailey courtroom. No freaking, jury. Name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant, Baruch von Zeeks. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama. I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long. It feels... But I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecutor's bench. So-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today, we must uncover the truth behind this scourge. In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder. The truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they ought to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present. By Her Majesty's direct orders. How will that work, my lord? The burden of all arbitration and education falls on my shoulders. Therefore, that you will see. The jurors' benches shall remain vacant today. Somehow they're going to be filled up, I feel, as the trial goes on. No members of the public are present. Might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord? They are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Hold on, my computer's having a stroke. Okay, everything's fine now, but it was not okay for a moment. Hopefully nothing in stream broke during that time. If no members of present are public, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord? Which is exactly what I was wondering. There are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Hello, Arcana. Welcome on in to Pain and Suffering Deluxe. Gregson, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. We're gonna do him justice, but I worry just what we're gonna uncover. But, how are you doing today? Yep, I'm doing better than you. Oh, gosh. I'm doing good. I'm mostly distraught at Gregson perishing, but otherwise, things are going alright. This is going to be a very long trial, I'm sure. Feel free to talk about what's going on with you, but otherwise, I hope you can find your time here to be nice and chill. Members of the judiciary. Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already. There is of course another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain. I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. As I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain this is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Kazuma? Gregson. I know. Poor Gregson. How are we gonna get infinite fish and chips now? Very well, let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asogi, your opening statement, if you please. Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on the 1st of November, just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Frenzo Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property. Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well indeed in this court. Not at least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimmest cases 10 years ago. Alright, just trying to pump out some drafts for a client. Meetings in like 6 hours? Oh goodness. I don't blame you for being tired. Wishing you the best on working through those drafts. I believe in you. The professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot, and all have reported the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There are a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. Victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantly. How has the range been determined? There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, Counsel. Autopsy report. Let's hope it's not outdated. Inspector Gregson's autopsy report stating that death was instant, resulting from a bullet shot at close range. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim. Alright, hold on. We gotta take a look, see here. Victim, Maria Gorey. Okay, well, at least it's not Courtney Size. Named Tobias Gregson, age 45, nationality British. Time of death. Doesn't say the time of death, actually, directly, but they did mention it before, I believe. How death victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used to use matches that of standard issue firearms for members of the judiciary. And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm? No, my lord. Not conclusively. Bravo, Cosmo-sama. We're not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There's a candelabrum mounted on that wall. Can you rant about some technical stuff? I love hearing other people's rants. Please go do that. You have the floor, Arctov. And the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right. Thank you for the thorough report, Counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please. As you wish, my lord. Crime scene floor plan. The plan of the small room in the building of flats on Frenzo Street where the body of the victim, Inspector Gregson, was found. I need to figure out my Cosma voice. Because, like, it's been so long. I vaguely remember what I did before, but he's alive such a short amount of time. I need to figure out what I'm doing with him, so it might take me a bit. Massive for you? Oh gosh. Yeah, definitely do go on with your rant. So two of the biggest issues in graphic design are the prices for Adobe and Pantone not being supported. I don't know about anything about Pantone, but Adobe, yeah, Adobe has a monopoly, and my gosh, they gouge at it. Everyone I know hates it. And they are the one product that I hear universal support for pirating, so I can at least understand your pain there. Alright, floor plan. So, this was the entrance room, which we saw before. That's the board with all the random stuff on it. Chimney, which is somehow going to be relevant, I feel. The table with the lamp on it, I think. And then all the stuff over here. And then there's the windows as well. Is this Frenzo Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode? No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. But there is precious little furniture inside, and it is generally in a poor state of repair. So, what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Presumably, he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. The tending officer arrested the accused on the spot. So, the details of the case are clear. That case, prosecution would like to call its first witness. A name, please, counsel. Naturally, the accused himself. What? Lord Van Zeeks? What the heck? As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of the office he's taken and will be compelled to tell the truth. My gosh. Very well, let the defendant take the witness stand. So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Barak Von Zeeks, Old Bailey prosecutor. I presume, Lord Von Zeeks, that you heard Prosecutor Asoki's opening presets. I did. It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this? Yes, my lord. And I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why were you there in the room on Frenzo Street at the time in question? And what exactly took place? I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zeeks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come, but since you became known as the Reaper, a part of me had been dreading it. Your formal testimony, then, witness. Witness testimony. The facts of the incident. I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries that led me to that address. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked up the firearm to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. What a strange turn of events. Pantone is a color company. They are very standardized in the industry and necessary in print. So you need a very specific orange for a book. Instead of running CMYK, which are bad for vibrant oranges, you can get the Pantone pre-mixed orange. Okay. I get it. So, that is a very terrible combination. Because Pantone sounds like it's very necessary for accessibility and, you know, making sure you can actually deliver the graphic design product. Why the hell doesn't Adobe support it? Already I can tell that's so dumb. Thank you for explaining, though. And welcome on in, Reina. Enjoy your bread. That testimony with the whole truth. They don't end their license with Adobe a few years back, meaning anyone running Adobe programs were pissed. You couldn't look up Pantone colors unless you bought a separate license. Oh, God. Yeah, that's... I don't blame anyone for being pissed at that whatsoever. Thank you for the cardboard pipe, Mr. E. Graphic design sounds like a bit of a mess right now, to say the least. The industry, at least. It was. So, you had a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants. And moments later, a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? You're right. You haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asoki. It would appear to be a singular tale indeed. Singular isn't the word, it's laughable. What's gotten into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all. Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. The big rival company to the Adobe's suite, Affinity, recently got bought out by Canva, and they made their program free. Guess what? There's Pantone support in it. Never using Adobe again. Good freaking riddance. Shout out to Affinity and Conva. That is actually such a big plot twist. I love it. I hope that Affinity serves you very well. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, my lord! Run smoothly too. This program's a dream. Sounds like anything you could ever want. And you don't have to absolutely waste away your wallet in order to be able to use it. Yippee! Oh my gosh. All the more reason to despise Adobe for their crap. So I'm glad there's actual competitors now. Sounds like the perfect solution. The facts of the incident. I was investigating Gregson and my inquiries that led me to that address. Hold it! You were investigating the inspector? What on earth for? I'm not at liberty to say. Thank you for the pipe and enjoy your bread, Neko. Sorry? I'd identified a distinct possibility that Gregson was involved in a case I was investigating. Regrettably, though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed. Is the court to understand, then, that on the day in question, you followed the victim to the scene? No, I was privy to his movements in advance. How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. The address on Frenzo Street was noted in the 5 p.m. entry. You illegally entered the man's office? In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense. As it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Van Zeeks? I was aware of the possible consequences. So, in summary, you were investigating the victim. And yet you refused to tell the court why. I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoyed such freedom to choose what to divulge under oath. Ugh, why did I ever think I could defend this man? Ay, Van Zeeks. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark outside and inside and I saw no one. Had you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations into Gregson's activities. There's no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. But at 5 p.m., the sun would only have just gone down. It would still have been reasonably light outside. The room has a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way into the room from outside, so it was extremely murky inside. I wouldn't have noticed if the victim was already lying on the floor. There was no artificial light in the room, you say? You're quite sure? I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there's a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though. I couldn't say for certain. Look, Mr. Naruto. There is a small desk in the room just here. Yes, I remember. Know the drill, the thread, yet to be hard at work though, just popping in for work and plus spoilers. Yep. Thanks for stopping on by, Artie. I appreciate it, but have a very good day, and definitely don't get spoiled, because wow, things are getting crazy. Yes, I remember, and there's an oil lamp on it, as well as the framed photograph. When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate. And what did you find? Nothing. I never actually reached the desk. A moment later, I heard gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Hold it! So, you fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. But you say it was very dark in there. Yes, that's right. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another's presence. Ah, then could it be that the gunshot actually originated from somewhere outside the room? For some reason, I thought Nardhodl was gonna say that the gunshot actually came from a ghost. I don't know why. That would probably be more of a Phoenix Wright thing, but I mean, at least this is more logical. No, that's out of the question. Oh. Without doubt, the sound emanated from inside the room. I could smell the gunpowder. Ugh, this is going from bad to worse. Can you say that's the point at which you noticed the revolver on the floor? You're gonna say Phoenix would jump to it being a ghost. He really would. Which, I mean, considering the whole spirit medium thing, it makes more sense for him. But I think even Maya would clown on him for that one. Correct. And I foolishly picked it up. That was carelessness on my part. Presumably then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm that you somewhat hastily took in your hands. In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. Just like Edgeworth. Yep, Astro dude. It is just freaking the fourth case of the first game all over again, and I'm all for it. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there's no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is the gun that was fired? Whilst I would like to oblige you with an answer, I'm afraid I can't. I too would dearly like to know that. Ugh. Just as I picked up the firearm to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. By the way, welcome on in, Astro Dude. Hopefully you're doing well. Hold it! A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume. That's right. One of the street merchants working on Frenzo Street. Who are these merchants? A number of them had set up their stalls directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They've all given statements saying they heard the gunshot. And without thought of danger, they ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Gina told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, it would seem. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process. But you're supposed to be the Reaper. The first man to come in immediately noticed the revolver in my hand and fled. A policeman patrolling on Frenzo Street heard the commotion and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. What do you mean by that? In what way did the body appear? I honestly can't explain it, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point, and then suddenly, there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open and the scream of the man who came inside first, nothing more. So what, could the body have, like, been stuck to the ceiling or something and then dropped down after the gunshot, so Gregson was already killed by that point? That's my guess for now, I think. The time of death is wrong. Because as we can see in the autopsy report, they don't say the time of death. They have a general idea, but I think Gregson's probably been dead for quite a while longer. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson. Most curious circumstances indeed. How the inspector was killed or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea.
Objection!
Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination has clearly revealed that the accused, Barak von Zeeks, is lying on multiple fronts. What is that supposed to mean? Good gracious, counsel. The defendant is lying, you say? In his testimony just now, he claimed that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. That's proven by this candelabrum. How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the long candle, you can see it has been blown off by a powerful impact. One would assume that the projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle. So I think his logic is that all three of the candle stalks. Oh my god, I just realized. The objection music. The objection music is a freaking arrangement of Cosmo's theme. That's insane. But all three of the candle stalks were lit at once, but then that third one was cut off prematurely by the gunshot, therefore letting the other two continue on, implying that they were still lit. That is Cosmo's logic, I think. The problem comes when you consider the other two candles, which are clearly of a different length. Yes, I can see that. Only the candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long. We could reasonably expect someone to have lit all three candles together, which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning. Yep. That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out. But the other two candles would still have been burning, so the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum. And the accused claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. And now to the next lie. And there's more? The accused also claims never to have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In that almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings. Yes, that's right, we saw it too. Goes without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged. However, they include a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. The professor case, which Gregson wouldn't have had jurisdiction on. Details that only Von Zeeks had is probably where he's going. 10 years ago? This is starting to sound familiar. And there's a common thread linking all of the documents on that board. What is this common thread, counsel? Y'all relate to cases prosecuted in court by Barack Von Zeeks? Okay, not exactly yet. That doesn't necessarily prove that's Von Zeeks, though. Who knows? Maybe someone was just really fangirling over him, you know? Or someone was trying to figure out the ties, you know, that, whoever's acting as the Reaper of the Bailey on behalf of Von Zeeks himself. All of them. And furthermore, all of those cases are ones in which the defendant was acquitted. Good lord. Interestingly, none of the defendants are alive today, because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Oh no. In short, that dingy little room is a Reaper's secret hideout and his base of operations. The Reaper's hideout? And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout? No one would believe that. No, the truth is we've been looking at this backwards. Backwards? Explain, counsel. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand! What?! Order, order, order! Very well, I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Barak von Zieks is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with Prosecutor Soki's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts. All I've done is state the truth as I know it. Cosmo's done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case, and it's formidable. Counsel, you will submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. I believe it to be fundamental in establishing facts surrounding the Reaper's existence. Thank you, my lord. Pre-saying notes board completely covered in notes and articles relating to victims of the Reaper of the Bailey. There's gonna be something on the backside that's gonna turn this all around, isn't it? Until Cosmo goes, actually, that doesn't change anything. And then we're back square one. Notes board. A free-saying notes board completely covered in notes and articles relating to victims of the Reaper of the Bailey. I knew it! Oh, what is this? Mr. Naruto, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it's just like a handprint. The color. That's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing. There's a bloody handprint on the backside. Aye, aye, aye. There are details of a whole raft of cases dating back years on here, aren't there? This paper from 10 years ago is browning with age. Look. Out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. Oh, it's the same Red-Headed League advertisement that Mr. Sholmes had picked out. And do you remember? There's a red hairpiece at the scene too. Was Inspector Gregson an exponent of the Red-Headed League then? Oops, all redheads. Now the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses who saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in the previous testimony too, if you remember. Yes, the street sellers who heard the gunshot and went running into the room. Very well, lead the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witness stand. Certainly, my lord. Why is Red Riding Hood here? Oh hey, it's you again from the first game, I'm pretty sure. So, witnesses, state your name and occupations for the court. Names? We don't use names. Far too fancy for like to buzz. We're just free and easy. Sell what we like, live where we want to live. Give them all vacant stares. They walk down Friendzo and spin a few words into a verse for them. Ah, would I be right in assuming that all three of you make your living by selling wares on the street? Everyone calls me gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to passerbys, you know. Jaunty little tidbits? Got an absolute smasher for you, sir. Right up your ginnel it is. 6 is the price and not a penny less. Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now? Oh, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested. Try the man. Give him money and see what it is. Pay the man, counsel. We just got peer pressured into buying a random knickknack in the middle of a courtroom involving a murder of the country's best detective and the best prosecutor. Beppo. Gosh. Alright, 6 it is. You won't regret it, sir. Now, got your listening ears on? Just between us, a young couple on Slight Street have just had twins. Is that it? No, that's not it. This gossip, isn't it? It won't spread, but that bit's up to you and your mouth, of course. I've got more, you know. Want another juicy one? 6 apiece it is, if you're curious. I am curious, yes, about what's going on just under that fat bottom lip of yours. Maybe that unusual bruise or whatever it is that's poking out from under your collar. Oh boy. What about the next witness then? What name do you go by and what do you sell? Me? I'm Venus. That's what everyone calls me. Funny, innit? I sell these lovely little fireworks to all the local school kids. 6 pence a pop. What do you say? You weren't exaggerating with little. They actually sell? Oh yeah, the second years can't get enough of my Venus firecrackers. Especially when I tell them that if they get 100, they could blow up the school. Not the most savory of ideas, young lady. What do you say then, eh? Want to part with 6 pence for a pop? Wait, what? You want me to buy one? Tell you what, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you could blow up the whole courtroom. Try the woman. Give her the money and see if she's right. Pay the woman counsel. Stop peer pressuring Narthodle. Why does he have to be the one to fork up the 6 pence? We don't need a repeat of Game 1, Case 3. Alright. I'll buy one. Lovely stuff. Right then, this is something a bit extra just for you. The Venus Special, only 600 pence. 600? It's 100 of my regular fireworks. Nothing little about that, is there? And there'd be nothing little about the punishment if I blew up the Old Bailey either. Oh my god, it's actually added. I mean, it's a special firecracker consisting of 100 smaller fireworks at 6 pence each. What sort of bang could it make? And the last witness, what name do you go by and what do you sell? Have you had an idea, Mr. Narthodle? Oh my god, wait. Of course. Okay, so Gregson was killed already, right? His corpse was hidden somewhere, probably like on the ceiling or something, right? And this, one of these firecrackers went off, and that's why, you know, there's the bang and the smell of gunpowder. No gunshot was fired there. So Gregson could have been killed somewhere else and brought here for all we know. I'm tired of this trial anyway. Here's 200. Let's end it swiftly. Have you an idea, Mr. Narthodle? You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks. Sorry, it's just that the Venus Special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Shall we find out? What? But she said it could blow up the courtroom. Alright. That was fairly sizable bang. My ears are still ringing, Mr. Narthodle. Sounded almost exactly like... It goes off like a gunshot. Yep. We're cooking, chat. Turns out being peer pressured sometimes works to our advantage. I'm think of me, all sorts of thoughts. I think therefore I am. I am, therefore I think. Because I stand there on the street, watching the world go on about me. They call me the Observator. Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you Sandwich and you know it. So, you don't actually sell anything. Problem shared is problem halved, as they say. I give advice, I do, and think what it means. I don't actually sell anything, no. Come think of it. Pity. No more purchase day, please. Well, we have quite a cast here, it seems. They conduct their visits on Frenzo Street from morning until night, my lord. And always in the same place directly adjacent to the crime scene. I see, and thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witnessed the crime. Well, I'll be beggared, I thought, just between us. Ernest and Miller, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw. What I think is if all what we see is light and shadow playing with our eyes, is any of it real? Very well. Court will hear the formal testimony of these three witnesses now. You will describe in detail what you witnessed and heard at the time of the incident. Witness testimony. The witness's account. We saw the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went in the building. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we all heard a big bang. Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what had happened. I ran into the room and there he was, Reaper gunning Anthony over the dead body. I was scared half to death me, so I ran off to find a copper. These witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything. Who did they see going inside the building? Tony's victim, Inspector Gregson, and the accused, Barak von Zeeks. I've seen pictures of that Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. And just between us, folk love stories like this. I've made myself a tidy sum already. Wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it. All those flats on Fresno Street are unoccupied. Of course they are. They're small, damp, dirty, and expensive to boot. The room which the inspector was found is the only property in the building that's currently leased. And we know the leaseholder's name, don't we? It's Hugh Boone. The testimony the court has just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. It's becoming increasingly difficult to see how anyone other than the defendant could have committed the crime. No! Your candor, my lord. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed to your cross-examination. You may proceed to cross-examine the witnesses. Yes, my lord. Close court like this without a jury. The judge is the only person whose opinion matters. I have to break down this testimony. Somehow. Cross-examination. The witness's account. We saw the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went in the building. When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Von Zeeks. I suppose so. The likes of us don't know names of the high and mighty. But I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last, that's for sure and certain. Behind Inspector Gregson, did they arrive at the same time as each other? No, not at all. The first fella must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard that gunshot. Victim arrived 15 minutes before? Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Am I sure? Doesn't seem likely that I've forgotten a fellow with bright red hair like that, does it? Yeah, his hair really were red, wasn't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks even. My gosh. That fiery red mop's been still burnt on the inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute, you're saying the man was a redhead? Weren't you listening, chum? He was a redhead, and he had a big trunk with him as well. But Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red, not by any stretch of the imagination. Seems likely that person you saw wasn't in fact Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party. Oh, I hate to break it to you, but the witnesses are correct. What? Just have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene. Of course, only now we get it. Yes, that's Inspector Gregson, all right. A red hairpiece. Of course, we saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? I still refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. Then why on earth would he have been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. The photograph will be submitted as evidence, please, counsel. Photographic print of the victim, Inspector Gregson. His body appeared to be tightly curled up and there's a red hairpiece on his head. And what became of the trunk that the red-headed victim was supposedly carrying? I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. It just disappeared. What? Do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, you? We definitely saw him in the dock going in, though. No question about that. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we all heard a bang, big bang. By which presumably you mean the gunshot. I sell these little things, don't I? How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? But I've always thought it probably sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? And you say that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant here enter the building. That's right. It was almost straight away. Bang, it went just like that. Well, he's the Reaper, isn't he? It's what the French call a fait accompli. When the Reaper's around, people are going to the ground. I mean, that's what he does, isn't it? I think we get the message. The Reaper couldn't allow the infector to live after he discovered his secret hideout. There can be no clear motive for the crime. Yes, it's certainly an eminently incredible motive. Great. At that point, you ran inside, is that correct? It seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what had happened. So when Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too? Well, me, I'm a bit hampered, see? All the signs are that I can't move very well. You were way behind, presumably, with that sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand. What a great burden you bear. Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but is it possible you and I have met before? Yes. I'm not anybody, me. The signs are what make me who I am now. I signed, therefore I am. So, you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago, then. I might be mistaken, but I believe his trembling has intensified, Mr. Notodol. Yes, I agree. He's clearly been through a lot. Turn down King Henry Street and the Black Widower's Arms is just there. Oh dear, you've made him hide behind his sign. Life is full of surprises. I ran into the room and there he was, Reaper gun in hand, standing over the dead body. So then, you were the first person to arrive on the scene, is that right? That I was, kicked the door open like a professional I did, and yelled out, "What's going on over here?" Lord Van Dijk claimed all he heard was a man scream, though. And was it dark inside the room? No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall. Really? And there was a fella clapped on the floor. Just between us, it's the first thing I noticed when we got inside. Ah, I see. Even though Lord Van Dijk claims not to have seen any such lights on the wall. Next thing I noticed was someone standing right beside the body. The accused Barak Van Dijk's. That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked, I won't deny it, but I'm no lily-livered coward. I stood my ground and gave the Reaper a cold, hard stare myself. Alright, we'll talk to him shortly. And was there anyone else in the room at that time? No, of course not. Not at first. But then this old stiff came waddling along behind me, of course. Only him mind. I can't handle the stairs so well, as you can imagine. Especially on the way up. You couldn't have just failed to see someone? It was a bit dingy in there, I grant you. But there was candles on the wall, and a lamp on the table. There was nowhere anyone could have been hiding. You mark my eyes. I was scared half to death, me, so I ran off to find a copper. So you didn't run into the room with your friends? I'm not that sort of girl. Sorry? I'm a timid little thing, me. I was too scared to go in there. Ah, right. I see. Old Lippy and the witcher ran in there, and then I heard a sort of old lady scream. Well, that wasn't me, I swear. If I were a gentleman, I'd stake my honor on it. I wondered what on earth was going on. Was it when you went to find a policeman? And I ran into Copper as soon as I turned the corner. So I brought him straight back to the place. Then I do well, eh? Just between us, that Copper's eye nearly popped out of his head when he saw the Reaper. I've never felt more uncomfortable in all my life. And the defendant was arrested on the spot, I believe. Considering the catalog of killings the Reaper had carried out, it was a particularly inauspicious end. If I can't find any holes in this testimony, I'm afraid the judge will give a ruling of guilty, Mr. Naruto. The truth is, though, their combined testimony is fairly damning. Unfortunately, there don't seem to be any obvious problems with their statements, do there? Still, if Lord Von Zeeks really is innocent, then I'm almost certain that we'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. You don't think that one of these three could be the true culprit, do you? I don't know, but what I do know, that there's more to this case that has yet to be brought to light.
Hold it!
All right. Just gotta go a little further. I stood my ground and gave that Reaper a cold hard stare myself.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? This is really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am, just two slices with no middle. So I don't know what you could want with me. I think that maybe you just remembered something. Having heard Mr. Gossip's latest statement, I mean. What I think is we're all nothings, really. We try to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers. That's enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich. But when he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside. That's it? Oh, you rotten beggar! I told you to keep that a secret! He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. That's what I wanted to say. Mr. Gossip, is this true? The floor was dead slippery, that's why. I planted my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck. What? A pool of blood? But listen here, even when I was sprawled on the floor, I still kept giving that Reaper cold hard stare, and don't you forget it. Let's go back a little. Did you say you got blood on your hand? I did. Happened to the best of us at times, doesn't it? So I was scared, so I slipped over. We can keep it just between us, can we? No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony. Oh, if I must. Witness will amend his testimony to include the aforementioned details at once. I slipped over and got blood on my hand, so I quickly wiped it off on the floor.
Hold it!
You wiped your hand on the floor? Well, who wants blood on his hand, eh? Horrible stuff. And they might have thought I'd done it. No ta. You didn't think that might be a problem? Does it really matter if I left a few grubby handprints on the floor? They'll get cleaned up and then, won't they? Don't make such a fuss. That's a message from all of us. Something wrong, Counsel? No, my lord. I didn't remember anything in the report about a bloody handprint on the floor, that's all. Don't come at me with all that. You can't intimidate me. I know what I did. I wiped it off on the floor. The blood. I wonder, could that be what happened? Oh, but you're not total. I don't have all the answers yet, but I think we may have just uncovered a vital clue. Oh boy. So was this on the ground then? Is that what this is? That was on the ground when he landed?
Objection!
Yep. So, you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that? Well, what else do you expect me to have done, eh? Doesn't really matter.
Objection!
The police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. What exactly is the defense asserting? If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Sogi. Certainly, there is no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There was a handprint in blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board. Ah, yes, indeed, the indisputably a handprint in the distinctive color of blood. You're dead right. That's my right hand. I know it anywhere.
Objection!
But what does this have to do with anything? The witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor. Handprints on back of the board are irrelevant.
Objection!
Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. Just look at the floor plan of the room. The notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim in an upright position, even if it had somehow been toppled and was lying on the floor at the time. It would have been a considerable distance from the body. I fell over when I came across the body. So I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. There's a very definitive contradiction here for which there must be a reason. I take it that you formulated a proper hypothesis, counsel. Oh boy. That's a very bold statement, Judge. Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness account and the handprint found at the scene. I have, my lord. The discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprints is explained by another handprint. Forward moving or a false testimony. Could the board really have moved that far, though? Like, if it was somehow over here, right? Could it realistically have been moved all the way back over here? God, I'm really trying to think here. Are we really gonna accuse a witness this early? No, technically the other witness could have done it. I'm not sure. I think, considering there's the two of the ones there, it could have been moved. I'm not gonna accuse a witness this soon. I think we're just gonna say the board itself did move. The real contradiction here is the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down. Good gracious, so it is. The witness had put his hand against the board. The finger should be pointing upwards. What does that tell us? It tells one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as previously suggested. Which means that after the incident, it must have been moved. What?
Objection!
You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting? Then tell the court who. I don't know that yet, but the point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can be very clear on one point, and that would be the position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord. So, counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated? It must have been around here, right?
Take that!
This is the only possible location. Immediately adjacent to the doorway. If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier, he said that when he entered the room, it was dark and he couldn't see the body. Bayak! If the notice board had been here, the body would have been completely hidden from view, and the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker.
Objection!
But the accused also claimed that the victim's body simply appeared before him. That's true. Or in his precise words, just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. I don't know about calling it a scream, but he was talking about me, no mistake. Because it was me that kicked the door open. You look again at the floor plan. Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. That can't. The door struck the notice board, knocking it over and making the victim's body visible. Good gracious. My client had told nothing but the truth. He had simply described what he saw. Ugh. Objection. No? Okay. Order! Counsel, how has this not come to light before now? After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw it when investigating the room. Witness, what have you say for yourself? What? Me, my lord? You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. Goes without saying that you must know something about the position of the notice board. The witnesses in the stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime. Eh? Stop looking over your glasses at me. I get the message. Witness testimony. The mystery of the moving board. I don't know anything about that notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business for some second years at the time. I don't know anything about it. I just a spy saying to me, I just sign at the crossroads of life. It was that Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. That detective still died when we heard the gunshot. But did he? So none of you can elaborate further. Taken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. That's right, yeah, I don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's just destroying the world. That's what I think. Do you? Really? In any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. And when the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Barak von Zeeks. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witness despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Very well, then you may proceed, counsel. Mystery of the moving board. Already I'm thinking this might be the play. One of these could have been set off. I don't know anything about the notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all. Do you admit that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on? Admit it? What's to admit? Is there plain and day for all to see a smashing print of my right hand? Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint, so you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you? No, no. Imagine the weight of that great lump. I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man. Well, did you see anybody else moving the board? I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. And there's what precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definitive testimony on that point. Yes, so it would seem. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time. When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's a priory school just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plane to blow their school to kingdom come. So I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to buy us more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. My gosh. Of course, and sometimes teachers give me a little bonus, thank me for letting them know. It's busy old life selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it. Oh, okay, you had something to say. Ugh, scary. The important point is, you didn't go inside the room where the inspector was killed, isn't that right? Definitely not. Wouldn't have dreamed of it, would I? I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me, just sign at the crossroads of life. My school's been blown to pieces. Oh my gosh. Those second years absolutely were trying to do that, and honestly, if they committed to even the song, that would have been great. But you did go see what happened in the room, didn't you? Benzo Street is my whole world. It's all I know, and I know all of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my sign up high. So you did go see what had happened. It's not the destination that's important, it's how you get there, isn't it? Did you notice the notice board in the room? If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both the different members of the sign family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to trip it up out of a sense of rivalry, I admit. Someone really needs to tell you that you're Homo sapiens, not Homo sinians. Oh my goodness. This dialogue. They're gonna be the next gen of Demo Knights. I mean, Demo Knights basically have signs. So if you combine the sign dude with the Ullapool caper, then yeah, I think that would be a great way for the school to go. That mean that you didn't notice the board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me, just a sign at the crossroads of life. In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board? It was that reaper, I bet. You've got faith that screams board. Oh, wait.
Hold it!
What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now, don't tell us you've not noticed. He looked like he ate everything in the world, that fella. But not notice boards. They're the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I'd ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I never took my eyes off that man on floor, or off the Reaper, not for a second. One for each object. Sorry? Well, I that scared I couldn't. You never know what a friend like that, a fiend like that might do if you look away, do you? If you didn't take your eyes off the defendant, you should be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. I can. The Reaper did not have the sword. I can swear to that. I couldn't have missed it if he'd heaved the thing upright again and dragged it to the corner. Right. Glad we've cleared that up. What happened to the face that screams bored? I feel your pain, Cosma. I can't see how this changed anything anyway. That detective still died when we heard the gunshot.
Hold it!
It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over, or maybe I didn't. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of that gunshot we all heard. Your fate's sealed too. My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose, and the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. If I could just find some problem with that part of their story, it may be possible to change all of our fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Not much go on. As you've pointed out, Mr. Natoro, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it. But it did happen after the event, so maybe Cosmo's right and it's not relevant to the case. But it seems to have been deliberately positioned as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. I've no doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So follow your instincts. Alright then.
Hold it!
Alright, we've got to go through this. Excuse me. Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich? If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it? No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Huh? Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Is that too a lie? Or the truth, in which case she's not a liar? Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying. Are you? What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that, and I'll wrap your whole body in fireworks and set him off. That'll give you something to tremble about. You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady. So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich? Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Oh, Blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshot seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there. You mean say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all? What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Your firecrackers packed such a punch. So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief. Well, now you come to mention it. I suppose perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah. There, you clearly remembered it, or you don't. Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act later. For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Oh, yes, my lord, of course. This is the case of the totally very guilty Van Zeeks. That it is, Zeecious. That it is. One who very inconveniently was holding a gun when the person, where a person nearby then fell after a gunshot. Even on a boat too. Wait, wrong game. Got it coming, right? Von Zeeks maybe, but not Gregson. I mean, yeah, Von Zeeks eventually. It was only a matter of time till he got thrown into the mess of things himself, but poor Gregson. I'll forever be sad. Yeah, whoever did that to Gregson, I am going to make sure they are taught a lesson. And not one in trickery, to say the very least. Maybe I just sneak alongside gossip and have a little peek into the room where it all happened. It was Von Zeeks, definitely. If it was Von Zeeks, well, I mean, at least it was a fitting bang for the Reaper of the Bailey. You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I'd take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you? Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying. The truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know? Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there's a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I had a look to see if there's anything I could sell. I did give the place a once-over, but it was nothing to write home about. Right. Now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of lucid change is all I had. The truth, please. Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. That blasted flippin' thing. Sorry, flip the blasted thing. God. You're telling us that you did move that board. I think that did slip out, didn't it? What? You daft Barmot! I don't believe it. That girl doesn't think. So, did you find anything then? Something that he might have taken, perhaps? To sell? Oh, please, I should be so lucky. In my imagination, the truth now! I might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much. So was you what it? You're the one who took one more took it. Gina, young lady, may I remind you where you are? That watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case he solved 10 years ago. Professor Case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he is waiting for his grub to come at the pub. I see. I swiped it off him once and blimey was upset. He gave me right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for then. I have stretched. And I've hydrated. Thank you very much, Mr. E. It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez's that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked it bad and worthless, he called it. Ah, I knew I should have lifted it. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once. Oh, please, just as long as you promise give it back when we're done. Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitt on it again. That's enough. And the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children, watch your manners. Good lord. The glass appears to be broken. More than likely it shattered when the inspector was shot. It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh? Yes, indeed, it appeared to have stopped at the hour of 5. Exactly when gunshot was heard then. That supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Inspector Gregson's pocket watch that he wound without fail every day. It's no longer ticking and glass over the face is cracked. Glass over the face is really badly cracked, look. What a shame when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully. Imagine Mr. Soames could repair it, don't you? Yes, I should think so. He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around, in fact. But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Nodhoodle, not an odd job man. A key! For the thing! Ah, there's a little tiny keyhole here, can you see? Oh yes, that's probably for the winder you wind up the mechanism. Looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you'd need to just the right key to find it, I imagine. Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like key that's about the right size fit in this hole. It'd be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found. Chad? Someone could have wound it. There's a tiny little stuff sticking out from the small hole here, look. I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time. In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it? Yes, of course. Which could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. Really? The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. Almost as if somebody's enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Kelly, try twisting it around and around too, for fun. What's that? It appeared to be some sort of key, but it's tiny though. It couldn't be a key for a door. What is it for? The pocket watch. Misato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose. I knew it. A perfect fit. And look, the inspector's watch has started again. So it had been obviously not just been wound up, that's all. What is it, Miss Sato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications. She's deep in thought now. Perhaps I'd better start thinking deeply too. Having wound up, it started ticking again. And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Ugh. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel. Here we go. So the question is, what do I present? I could just do the pocket watch.
Objection!
Yeah. I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case. Oh. At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch. A key? And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built. What? Order, order, order! But, counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. Yeah, which is just when we heard the gunshot. It is exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than that's when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock. Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard gunshots at 5 o'clock. So that obviously is when this crime was committed. No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. Most used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. That he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well. Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. Oi. Well, how'd you explain that? In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch. You can't mean... What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead! Order, order! Counsel, that's his most extraordinary claim. Extraordinary isn't the word. It's absurd! You claim he was already dead the night before. Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? On that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report of the time of death. The time of death is not noted. That's right! Wait a minute, you've forgotten that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in? What do you mean? Like I said, I planted in my hand a dirty great puddle of blood. Yes, the victim's blood hadn't dried, it was still fresh. He catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection.
But that blood could be explained any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after he... Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? Not you too, Kazuma! Not you too! Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard had no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities. Yes, actually, all you need is a kitchen nightmare, too. Oh my gosh. You know what? I would love to see Kitchen Nightmare set in Victorian era. That would go so hard. And would very much easily resolve this problem. So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection.
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question. Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called in question, isn't it beyond the realms of, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't gunshot at all? Oh, please, what are you trying to say? Us lots know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from that there room. Why does he have a whip? Now you listen to me. A street seller's ears are his livelihood. I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise. Eh? Explain yourself then, counsel. Noise that sounded like a gunshot could have been made with the Venus firecrackers. Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot. Good gracious, the very fireworks that are sold by the witness. No, hold on a minute. Are you saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway, see? About 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. You're trying to suggest that somebody set off one of those fireworks at the scene? I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Frenzo Street to hear.
Objection.
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was gun or firecracker, the only person present who caught that bang was Brown Van Zeeks. One whiff of match and my firecrackers go pop. See, it's why people like them. I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Objection.
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned a lot of useful invention, a very useful invention indeed. Something called, time bomb. Good heavens, a bomb? Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Naruto, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead you to yet another international incident. No, wait, it's whenever you like part that's important. A time device. Yes, exactly, a time device. Which this could have been used to time somehow. I'm not entirely sure how, but if it stopped exactly at 5, then... That'd also explain the damages if a firecracker went off point blank. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that is able to produce the sound of gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that time device was employed to create a gunshot sound? I think, chat, it was the pocket watch. The damages of it. Take that! You're suggesting this could have been used as some sort of time delay device? I think so, my lord, but it's becoming increasingly clear that we've all been very misguided here. Yes, by you. What? 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 Okay, so it wasn't that. Damn, okay. Evidence... Okay. The candelabra maybe with how the candle wax burned, but oh, if the firework, if that had been on the candelabra. Oh.
Take that.
As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles on this candelabrum had been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible? Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken handle. There are? Goodness, yes. But is it not the case? And that there's also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound. That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Which means the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks? How can that be, eh? The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse of the firecracker, generating a loud... And that is how these three witnesses came to believe they'd heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot. This implies that victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even. Now. Just hold your horses! All as Lottie saw the victim going into the building, remember? I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair even if I wanted to. They're all noting the hair, but it didn't... But here's the thing. Someone could have just worn the wig. The person you saw entering building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely, wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean say? It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer! Oh, very impressive, Yunosuke Naruhodo. Kazuma? I'm really quite amazed you've come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also noted lack of a time of death in this report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Order, order, order! Prosecutor Sogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today, so we cannot allow even slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, you have a duty to explore it. Well, certainly I'd agree with you. And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard. Even within the yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend? I have a feeling about what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree, surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. The case? Very well, counsel. Present your argument to the court. What evidence is suggested to the case being investigated by the inspector on the day prior to the incident? I mean, probably this.
Take that!
Oh. God, okay, so it was, the notice board isn't anything particularly valuable, apparently. So what is it? Oh, would it be the framed photograph then?
Take that!
Nope, it's not the framed photograph. Because, you know, the whole missing thing. Okay. I actually don't know if it's not either of those two, or maybe I... I guess the only other thing is the Red-Headed League. So Gregson might have actually been doing this.
Take that!
Okay, it was the Red-Headed League somehow. I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. Might assume it was a part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd, except that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League. So, you'd already worked it out. What on earth is all this about? Is there such an extraordinary League of Gentlemen? The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. A deception of what nature, Council? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London, tricking them out of small sums of money. Nort. Oh my gosh, I know. This game's writing remains so damn good. I love it. How do the writers keep getting away with this stuff? 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense called for those 2 men to be summoned at once. 2 redheads. Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece. So it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored. But then, Mr. Naruhodo, well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least. Prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Sogi. At once, my lord. Very good. We'll have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. My goodness. Recess, hooray! How have the VLRs been? This is the first VLR, and it's been quite a wild ride, to say the least, Rube. But hey, we're slowly, ever so slowly proving Von Zieks might not have been the killer. Hopefully. Fun trial, am I right? I mean, other than freaking Cosmo staring me down constantly, it's been a pretty alright time. Nothing crazy, but it does scare me for what's to come. But yeah, I think at this point we're 2 hours in stream. I think it's a good time for us to go on break. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna be gone for 10-15ish minutes. That's usually how long it is. While I'm away, some ads will play, but those are just to get rid of pre-rolls, and you won't be missing any action. So I appreciate the understanding. And when we come back, we're going to be picking up right where you left off. You'll have to leave as usual at this point. You'll ask of any pipe duty if possible. Alrighty, Rube, sounds good. I can do that, and have a good rest of your night. So, I will see you all again very, very shortly. We are back. We are ready to continue. Also, I freaking love the pew 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 mode. It's so dumb. Alright. 2nd of November, 12:33 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I also want to point out a realization I had. This dude's pretty, you know, slim, right? Pretty lanky. Still looks like RT Game to me, but if we put that aside, I feel like he'd be a pretty good person to impersonate Gregson, on the day in question if they wanted to think that Gregson entered on the day in question long after he had already died. At least if they didn't get to see his face. There you are, Odell. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Shums, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? That the boss, you know, actually died the day before? It's pretty odd swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I! Possibly more shocked than both of you! It's not a competition, Mr. Shums. But I had more shock than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes, it's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear, if it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on. Dr. Scythe. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zeeks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with them. Come think of it. You had trouble with the League men too, didn't you, Mr. Shums? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly 4-pound income. And that scent matched the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Shums' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze, and it was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by good Lord Beinsensen. Indeed, yours truly. So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the Inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly 4-pound income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Storms. Yes, well, then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zeeks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zeeks, and Cosima. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Cosmo was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. And he determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Mrs. Sato? Yes. Second of November, 1 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearings of Baroque von Zeeks, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Sogi. My lord, Have you summoned the witness as requested? Yes, the 2 members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the 2 men into the courtroom. Hello. These 2 men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great de Rousseau family from Nice, in France. And my name is Peppino de Rossi. I am the 3rd son of the great Familia de Rossi, the landowner from Napoli. The 2 men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Those who graduate from Temzik are the future leaders of Europe. But do y'all have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Lord, I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little gray cells in my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out. You could say that. Not bad, eh? Yeah, the grand ideals, but petty plans. The strange combination is the charm of the hilarious brothers. See, Capo? Listen to me, Peppino. I have 2 things to say to you. Eh, che? Are you about to tell me one of your grandi anecdotes? Viva! Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this Capo. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business. Chabello, there it is, the Capo's trumper card, the furrowed brow. It is deeper, Capo, the furrow, and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui, c'est ça. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Lord, I will explain it. No, Capo, leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The Capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse crying like the little Trevi fountain. Well, those dogs, one day's world would come to respect us redheads. Every night he would bury his head in his pillow and weep. C'est bien, Peppino, enough! I'll explain the rest. The first setup was a newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. I swore you played this 2 years ago. It's been 4. That was around when it was released, right? Yeah. Freaking 2021. My goodness. It really... I didn't even know this thing existed until like a year or 2 back somehow. So it also feels more recent for me. How does time fly that freaking quickly? It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. Yeah, you think so. Last played November 13th. It doesn't feel that long ago. Wow. I mean, I guess that shows it really stuck with you. But also it shows the passage of time is a cruel and unrelenting one. Yeah, November 13th, 2021. Yikes. It has been just over 4 years then. That is just insane. Like, how does time fly that fast? Seriously. I'm trying to think off the top of my head any recent examples of that for me, but I can't right now. But I'm sure I could think of my own similar game that's like, hey, I played that just last year. What do you mean it's been 3 years since I last touched it? What do you mean? Oui, sister, I'm honored that you have seen it. State that the only condition for joining the Red League is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement. And from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money to France, it was a plan most elegant, no? Oh, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk like a Custer's orange barrow. Custer's orange barrow. The day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these 2 men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. I've seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life. DC, and now every time I see the couple's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The day for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law. Here we go. Witness testimony. The man in the photograph. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assemble in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph. Hey, Capo. No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he's dead now. But I assure you, he was not in the park. Allora, this victim is nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught up in the first place. Why is that? Given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? I'm quite certain. We did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. With this attitude, we get to nowhere. He's really sulking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover. I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, eh? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League. Which means it's quite possible that's when he was killed. Very well. The defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Yes, my lord. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park on Lime Street that day. 1,000 people? That's a very big crowd. It was quite the spectacle. Redheads had come from all over the capital. The capo here, here's the magnetismo animale, eh? Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I would be the capo. All those people was the money, Peppino? All the £4 per week? Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants? Oui, that we did, because every one of them paid us 5 shillings. We take their names and we take their money and we take their addresses as well. Then I tell him we take some days to let them know by a post. A finito, maybe 2 minute person. We start early in the morning and we stop late in the night. So, you earn 5,000 shillings in one day? That's a small fortune. Who'd have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with? One of whom was a great detective with chemically altered hair. And you gotta do what you gotta do. I respect Sholmes for the grind. But I don't recall the man in this photograph, eh, Capo? He doesn't look at all familiar. No, I don't think so. And this is a wig, eh? He was trying to trick us. I do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people. That's a con artist. If between them they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair, it would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face. No, signor. I may be small, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park. But he's not going to give the court a definite, it seems. Capo, you didn't seem like see a man like this. No, I don't remember him, and obviously he is dead now. But I assure you, he was not in the park.
Hold it!
But according to what you said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. That's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally the red hair is very distinctive, eh? But not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around, then it is an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could have given us, maybe then we could recall. That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, If there was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Did they not look at the photograph? Cosmo said these two had only been shown photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. But what if I just fed them one other detail about the victim? For example, his fish and chips. His profession, probably. But the fish and chips would be pretty funny. Or maybe just his name. Right? I don't know. The name is the straightforward one. Yeah, it would be the name. Because they got the name. You can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember the situation. But when I told you that the man's name was Gregson, the man in photograph is a Monsieur Gregson. Yes, names, they are boring. I do not listen to any of them. Oh, it was not a real interview. It was just for show. Why would I remember the names? That's right, this changes nothing. The man in photograph was not there, as we have already said. I see. Seems there's little to be gained from pursuing this point further. Again, what you said before, Peppino. See, Capo, see. I say it again and again. We'll come back to that. Laura, this victim has nothing to do with us. But we only have your word for that. See, but what else can we do? True. Oof, we are not having much fun these days. First we are arrested, then we are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. And now you question every single thing we say. We are the victims here. Hey, Capo. No, you were caught carrying out a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people. You had to bring that up, eh? It's not fair. Hey, Capo. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught up in the first place. What do you mean by that? Cavolo, you promised not to say, eh, Capo? After we had taken all the monies that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left the purchasing of the tickets for the ferry to Dunkerque to my companion here. But he bought them for the wrong day. Oops. See, but it's an easy mistake to make, The 1st and 31st. Boff, I have no sympathy for you. You were an all day late for the boat because of your stupidity, and it's only because of this that the so-called great red-headed detective caught us. Wait. Great red-headed detective. Well, you know what I think. This is the work of God. It's a holy punishment, eh? Peppino, for the last time. This is not only punishment, it is only your fault. Ah. Don't blame God for your unholy mistakes. You are making me sick with anger. Maybe I make a mistake, but when it is time to eat up the pasta, no one is the faster. And I've seen the evidence. They haven't told us much we didn't already know. What do you think, Mr. Naruto? Well, if it was the inspector's diary, it seemed likely that he must have gone to Lime Street that day. Yet these two both claim they didn't see him. I have to say, they don't appear to be telling lies. Well, they are experts in deception, don't forget. Sounding plausible is their specialty. They may be lying simply to avoid being implicated in this case as well. Surely if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught. Well, yes, you do have a point there. Seems to me like we need more information. Definitely.
Hold it!
But according to what you said, you spoke with 1,000 more people that day, yeah. So we need to... Oh wait, no, they saw the photo, and now they're claiming that because they saw the photo, they didn't recognize him. I just understood now. Yeah, it's fish and chips. They would know that. If they can't bother remembering the name, they'd know it's fish and chips. You can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who's eating incessantly? Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants. I would have noticed the fish and chips any more than the caviar and smoked salmon. Or spaghetti. Me, I love the spaghetti. Really? I had no idea. No. Okay, darn. So I guess none of this is gonna help. I'll try the last one, but I think we aren't getting anywhere. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man, yeah. It's actually a detective. The man in photograph a detective. Yes, it would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but this changes nothing. Okay, so this is how it is. No detective came to the park, I'm certain of that. I see. In any case, if such a man had come incognito, we wouldn't have just said, I am a detective now, would he? Well, no, I suppose not. Sound logic, I must agree. Tell them again what you said before. Of course it's the last one.
Hold it!
I still feel like the fish and chips is just that pivotal. I could never forget his fish and chips. Excuse me. Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? See, I'm always adding something, Parmesan oil, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? Eh? What did he just say about the detective? Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already. But why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I am the inspector from Scotland Yard. What? Good lord. Well. Order! Explain this vault face in your testimony, witness. It's simple. A man who was at to the park has said to us that he was an inspector. There was no such man. Might I? What are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, eh? I have forgotten nothing. Nothing like this came to the park. Basta, capo, basta. You have beaten me at the many things, but not the two. The memory and the meals. Like I said, when it is time to eat the pasta, no one is the faster. But you are inferior to me in every other way, so shut up! Top tired, the damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. There was a man who came to the park and said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face was completely different. It's true, it's true. The man who came was younger. It's him, chat. His face was clean-shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever, then. Anyway, I'm not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, "You are really a detective? Show us the proof." See, the capo here, he doesn't take no nonsense, eh? But he was well repaired. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord. Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly, the papers were fake. Certo capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize one, eh? So, if I'm to think right now, if I'm trying to be big brain, this dude intentionally was planning ahead and maybe even planted this article. Happened after he announced he is a detective. Became very annoying. He said, "You are under investigation." So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park. It was a fantastico, and look, here's the identification. So he stole it from the man. He had it coming, he made us very scared. But he was not who said he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. The identification of a man claiming to be a detective inspector confiscated by Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi. Now, let us return to the witness's testimony. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably just something plucked out of thin air. It's Tobias Gregson. Wait, what? The Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me. But how? The apartment and identification number details are all correct as well. Since when have you known those? Do you mean say, I know it seems incredible, but yes, I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all? Dr. Gregg's police identification is the official warrant card issued to him by Scotland Yard. Oh boy. Well, chat, I think I know what... I mean, does that immediately help us is the thing. Oh no, we do this. Objection! I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade? Why, Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, counsel? Is this really fake or is it genuine? That's the question, which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection.
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification be stolen. Hold it! That is the boss's! No question about it! It can't be! As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on day in question was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation! Dolor! I don't think it was him. Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. But if Boss had his identification stolen, would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. If you lose some ad once, they'd say. Could it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it? He is already dead by then. Physically, what are you saying? Unable to. You're not suggesting. Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had a chance to report his identification stolen. No. Order! The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. You two have anything to say about that? I know nothing. I've done nothing. Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no? I wish I had to return to Italia. Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise, You may stop your whining and start talking. Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerable great... I know nothing. I have done nothing. But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome. We'll dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. We're crying out loud. Witness testimony. The detective and the identification. The truth is we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shut him in the room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. He spent the night in a nicer room. It was nothing like a prison, really. This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man. But no, no. It was not like a prison. He was a very comfortable and calm and happy. Hey, Capo. It was never part of my plan. I swear it. So you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the dates of the ferry wrong by one little a day. I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it. No. Por favor, Capo. It is not fair. You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen. Oh, I do not believe this. How could I have been a real detective? Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. On the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. Detective and the identification. The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout.
Hold it!
You realize what you're saying? You have to believe me, I never intended for that to happen. And I'm sure the detective did not intend it either. You think? But there was nothing else I could do. Please, nothing else. This wasn't the first crime of the capo. He was at the end of his wits. I've told you before, Peppino, that is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind. What about this hideout of yours? An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street. He rented the place for 2 days. It was inspired idea by the capo here. Impulsive idea, I would say. No, impulsive inspired. Hey, capo. What am I supposed to say to that, Peppino? It was in the house described that you can find Inspector Gregson, was it? Oh, oui. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that was a pretender, not a real inspector. I still think it was him. I know it. I know it was him. That didn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there? Oh, you are right, but we couldn't be completely certain. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day. Too scared? Why? Because why had he come to the park? We didn't know. There was a chance that he had seen through my plan. And if that was the case, he would have gone straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if he had just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, without a doubt. I think most people would agree that it's you two who were up to no good. Well, see, you may be right. Hey, Capo. The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but take the man prisoner. I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place. I asked myself the same question. We were writing down the names and the addresses of all the people we took 5 shillings from that day. I've forgotten what name he said, but the address, it startled me. TC, address Scotland Yard Homicide Division, he said. What? It probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just pointed lightly at him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification. What was Inspector Gregson playing at? I still think Gregson was dead by that point. So the court, what happened next? You took him back to your hideout, you say? See, we took the man's identification from him, shut him in the room next 2 hours. That being this identification book here, correct? See, that is the one. What made you believe that it was forgery? I never seen a real one, of course. But you were so suspicious, this man. Hello, I was thinking, must be false, so, hey, Capo? It is just as Peppino has said, we were convinced it was not genuine. So together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man a captive. All we did was shove him inside a locked room. Then we made preparations to transport all the money. For a penny and for a pound. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. What do you mean by a little tussle exactly? Boff, it was nothing, just a minor incident. The false inspector is a real piece of work. Hey, Capo, what happened? Oofa, it was a disaster. We give him a nicer room, and what does he do, in the middle of the night, he tried to escape through the ventilator. Can you blame him? We chased him, sir, and caught him again. Can you blame us? Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? So, who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply got hold of him again and took him back to the room. There was really nothing more to it than that. And following morning, you let him go, you say? Correct. And it was an amicable parting. There was no trouble. See, we shake the hands and say, let's do it again, Not a whiff of perjury here. Spent the night in a nicer room. It was nothing like a prison, really. Where? You took away the man's freedom. However comfortable you make it sound, you were still holding him prisoner. If you say that, then I say this. There's something that takes away our freedom too. The lack of our money. So we are the prisoners as well, all of us. Huh? No money, no freedom. This is the truth. It makes me mad and it makes me sad. What can we do? Ain't this the truth? Well, you'll also disenfranchise. Take money to court, though it'll cost you, of course. Oofa, there you have it. You see, that is why we need the Red-Headed League to fight for the justice. Perhaps he has a point. No, Mr. Naruto. Well, we did was to give the man a comfortable place to sleep for the night. And you say it was a prison, perhaps he has a point again. No again, Mr. Naruto. You should have heard him snoring. That day, if anyone disturbed, it was us. Not much go on, really. The testimony does make me wonder, you know, about this pocket watch belonging to the inspector, I mean. Ah, yes, the one he treasured so much, apparently. He was confined, but not restrained, as the witnesses are implying. He would still have been able to wind his watch. That's very true, yes. So did Inspector Gregson actually die while he was being held captive by these redheads? In which case, it is impossible that these two young men are responsible for Inspector Gregson's. To be honest, I find that hard to believe. Perhaps you try to find out exactly what happened. Very wise, Mr. Naruto, yes.
Hold it!
Oh dear!
Excuse me. Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong? Me? Something Mr. De Rosso just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. I'd like to point out that Rossi there did in fact just hit the Mario. What is all that about? Cavalo, at times like that, you don't want to have the cusp after you, believe me. And I speak from a personal experience. Personal experience? That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the Red-Headed League plan into action, I was scared. I would not defer to the capo, but I tried to run away. It's a shame you didn't manage to do it. But the capo here, he came after me like the turbine, dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises, prove it, capo? Bruises, you say? You want to see, You want to see my fantastical bruises? Wait a minute. Neck bruises? That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. Do we have the witnesses here? He also had the neck bruises. What the hell? Are there any other neck bruises that we should be worried about? Gregson doesn't have any neck bruises, does he? Not that we can see now, and we can see quite a bit. That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. What to do? I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't. You do, now! Allora, if everyone else wants to see, then I do it. Echo, you see, still very visible, eh? That red ring around your neck. You got that when you were dragged back to the house? See, the capo sometimes he is a very rough, and I said that's enough! Peppino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word. Yes. What is your opinion, Counsel? About this red ring around Mr. De Rossi's neck, I wonder, does it matter? What do I think actually happened? You assure me that you couldn't spoil it even if you tried. I've heard that the cases are special. These are the next two cases. That's all I know, so, oh boy. I mean, I don't know, but it seems like to me that this dude was involved in the murder in some way. He might have been the one. Wait a minute. Yeah, he might have been the one to, you know, take Gregson's license, right? Dude dies. I don't know if he did it or someone else did, but he gets Gregson's license, goes to the place and scares them for some reason, and then acts as a decoy of sorts, in order to, you know, trick everyone into thinking Gregson actually went into the building that day. But it still doesn't prove. I mean, he'd be the murderer, I guess, in that case, but I don't know. There's also the fact that this dude shares the thing as well. Wait a minute. They share the same hairstyle. Are this dude one and the same? Is that dude there the same person as this dude? They share the same hair. No, they don't. They show up separately. Yeah, no, they're two different. Never mind. They aren't the same. That would have been an insane plot twist, though. Unless this dude had some crazy makeover. But they do look kind of similar, and he still had that ring around his neck. It's important, though. Mr. De Rossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck. Hey, Capo, you see, everyone's interested in what I say, Oh. Very well, you will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi. I don't even know if what I said was coherent, by the way, but this dude obviously had to be involved somehow. I feel like he'd make a great fake Gregson, and they match the thing about him being clean-shaven, too. I'm really convinced that this dude is the one who came after them, that time. But then, of course, the question becomes, how did he get Gregson's ID, unless Gregson was already dead by that point? In which case, what does this dude have to say on the matter? God, there's so much. See if you really wanted to know. He tried to escape, but the capo put the collar on him and dragged him back like what he did to me, see? Wait a minute. So that's what happened to that one dude. I don't know if we could have possibly... Oh my god. So the fake Gregson... The fake Gregson was that other person. Oh god. You're saying that the red mark was caused by... See, a big collar made from the leather. Leather collar. Is this true, Mr. De Rosso? What? We had the Saint Bernard at home when I was younger. It is a souvenir from that time with a very strong chain. Strong chain? You put that around your friend's neck? I'm sorry. I was so angry that he was leaving me alone. You did not have to tie the chain to the leg of the bed at though. Oh, I would not have tried to run again. You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you? Treat to the people equal, it's the capo's motto, eh? Starting to sound a lot more like a prison of all sudden. The capos are tough, but the capos are rough. Oh, I shouldn't have done it. So, the following morning when you released the Inspector, he had the red ring around his neck like me. Peppino, s'il vous plaît. But now... Now you know the capo are here if you don't want to tingle with the maid, but for the Inspector, it's not so bad. Is there any... I can't... Well, we can see the neck there, so that's probably what we do. I think, yeah, we're still working under the assumption it's Gregson in universe, so I think we have to disprove it by showing that he doesn't have a scar on his neck. Knew it! So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. Yeah, so I think what we're meant to think now is that this dude here is inexplicably somehow the fake Gregson, which complicates things so much more. Actually, we still don't know his real name either. I actually still think these two might be connected somehow. Dude's gotten a bit of a makeover, especially that nose, but I think it's possible. So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, counsel? I'd ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You'll see that there is no red ring visible around his neck. But that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off the man in the morning, and I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have. Given that the mark is so clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. de Rossi. Indeed, that is most peculiar. But what do we want to tell you all? We say this from the beginning many times. Peppy knows right. The man in the photograph is someone different to the man we held captives at night. Order! It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited Park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all. If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector unless he was killed. The prosecution made that assertion itself. We also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely. The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling if it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered. The fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, has that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification? Chat, I just realized this was an imposter Gregson, and he tried to escape through the ventilation. I think we know who the killer is. Do I even need to say anything else? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes on the court record, Mr. Naruhodo. Because those are the facts, and the facts cannot lie. No, the facts can't lie, even when they point something so incredible it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for Red-Head League's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Yeah, but not evidence. Good gracious. Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo, so why don't you help us all see whatever truth it is that you've apparently seen? Exactly what this inspector that appeared before Mr. de Rosso and Mr. de Rossi. An imposter. Though it seems incredible, I admit the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no breathing can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who those two red-headed men took prisoner that day could not have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time. On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately poses, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification? See, that's right. We tell the same story every time. Father need not look like Gregson. His ID had no photo. Indeed, Astrodude. So yeah, it could be just about anyone there, as long as they don't know Gregson to begin with. However, this man was, the capo dragged him from a pillar to a post with the dog collar. Mon Dieu, Peppino, I would not so harsh as you say, So, who was that the false Inspector A? Who was he? Clearly, the defense has an idea of that. about the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson? It was gossip! Goodness me, isn't that one of the witnesses who was in the stand this very courtroom earlier today? A nameless man whose only occupation appeared to be peddling hearsay to passers-by.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with the police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, the man or not? What does happen to his lip? See, this man is not for the red-headed league, eh? He's looking for the twisted lip league, no? Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. Eh? What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Order, order! Bailiff, bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately. My goodness. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him. Now what's going on here, eh? I've always had this, me. It's a birthmark, isn't it? Birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to stand has been explained to you. Something about some inspector again. But I'm telling you, you got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it? Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Frenzo Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in a big trouble, eh, Capo? That's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony. Witness testimony. The inspector and the identification were visited. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. It's alright to see. You think we would forget those grand lips, huh? I never leave Frenzo, alright? I have no interest in any red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. I've no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Does it look like I could carry off in disguise with face like this? Would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you all? There was no need for this pointless testimony. Ugh. That's right, I'm just simple peddler, remember? Frenzo Street's all I know. How would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but... a brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. Ugh, isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be on something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Natoro. Inspector and the identification were visited. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. So you say, but how can you be quite so certain? There is no need to have your hands on the desk, monsieur. Surely the reason is obvious, no? Because I have never before seen lips like these. Nevertheless, there's a clear red mark around Mr. Gossip's neck. It looks very much like that left behind on the neck of your colleague by your prized collar. Mon Dieu, wise your words. It is like you try to wring my neck. Doesn't look very much like my neck though, eh? No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London and a neck to die for. Hey, they broke the mold when they made me. It was the first time in my life. I feel lucky to have been born with red hair. And I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London. So you maintain that you've never seen this man before. Oui, c'est ça. I swear to it by the flames of my hair. So fierce pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it? He's right, see, you'd think we would forget these grand lips, huh?
Hold it!
Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either. That is what I am saying. For some reason, it makes me want to eat, how did Fabian call it, and Claire? You know, I've never seen the hair as black as yours before either. Likewise, I'd never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain. See, maybe it is a national trait, huh? Maybe all the people from this man's country have the grand lips. No, lad, I was born right here on Frenzo Street and I've never left. Oof, that is the problem, I see. So you definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip? Now, how many times do you want me to say it, eh? I never leave Frenzo Street, alright. I've got no interest in any Red-Headed League. So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got sandwich to cough up for it. Well, he does have very red nose if that counts. Who knows? But as you can see, my own hair's got not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Frenzo Street's my patch. You won't catch me siding off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely. Curious. I see. As it happens, after I sold Sandwich that little tidbit about the Red-Headed League, he went and got himself on some red paint from somewhere, God only knows where, mind. But just between us, he didn't have the gumption to dunk his head in it. I'm all alone in the world, me. I've got no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? You mean you have no family? No, none at all. So I spent my days on Frenzo Street peddling tidbits passers-by. Hoping, just between us, this is that eventually someone else with lips like mine will come along. I don't think so. You may be right. Anyway, that mark on your cheek is just too much of a coincidence for us to ignore. Well, what's a fella to do then, eh? If you don't believe me, we're at an impasse. And there's nothing I can do but flick me lip. Looks like I'm not going to get anywhere here unless I can produce some sort of proof. You're basically saying I got dressed up and posed as some fancy inspector, are ya? Well, it's beyond me how you think I could do that. Just look at me, eh? Doesn't look like I could carry a disguised face like this. Maybe you could, say, with a mustache or a beard to cover up that lip. Aye, perhaps. But if I was going to stick some fake facial hair on to cover up this fine specimen, I'd end up looking like his lordship over there, wouldn't I? Pardon? I assure you my lips are entirely unremarkable, and I'd ask you not cast such scrutinizing looks in my direction, counsel. Sorry, my lord. Imagination got the better of me there. Well, Inspector Gregson did wear a mustache, of course. You're right, he did. So perhaps he was hiding something himself. You could barely have hidden a crumb in a mustache of that size. And anyways, the detective we spoke with had no facial hair at all. You see, the capo is alright, he was a clean shaven. Certainly seems beyond the realms of possibility that this witness could have disguised himself as victim. Aye, it does, and it is! That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What's your feeling, Mr. Nardhuddle? Well, what Mr. Gossip says is undeniable. It'd be all but impossible to hide those lips with any form of disguise. Perhaps yes, but nevertheless the mark around his neck is equally undeniable. And it's identical to the one that Mr. De Rossi suffered. Yes, that's true. But why did this whole disguise idea just keep playing on my mind?
Hold it! Is that so?
Excuse me. Mr. De Rousseau. Ugh. Oui, can I help you? Mr. Gossip's words now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps. Was the other day when I was looking for a place near Zip Park, a small house or something? Be the headquarters of your red-headed league, yes? I visited an housing agent on Lime Street and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip with a housing agent? We had some kind of contract in his hand and they were clearly discussing terms. Oh, no, you're mistaken, chum. I've never let friends treat me like I said before. You've mistaken me for someone else, someone with the same face. No, the capo's right, I remember it too. He was paying the man with the banknotes. Oh, like I said, that wasn't me. I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money, so I looked at the name on the papers. And what name was written? Mr. Gossip? No, this man he lies, he tells you he has no name. But in fact his name is Hugh Boone, huh? It's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see? Chat. We found it. No! I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Friendship Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. It is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections.
Objection!
There we go. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, you similarly object, Prosecutor Sogi? As it happened, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Hugh Boone is from the home story, The Man with the Twisted... Damn. Even the Sholmes knockoff can have some interesting references then. Yeah, there are some deep connections. Well, I never. In what capacity? Hugh Boone, the name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. Victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. I suppose that might be the case. Your real name is Hugh Boone. Well, just between us, I don't like to blow me own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler tidbits in town. The way I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a fallen down backstreet townhouse. You do? And once every 6 months I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. I remember it now. There are 2 vulgar redheads in there last time. If either of us is a vulgar, it's not to me. Think again, Peppino. Why didn't you bring this up before? It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit pillar as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Sir Boone. If I must. The leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered. Has been here under our noses all along. And it wasn't even a pseudonym. I rent the room where that fellow was found. It's true, for what difference it makes. So, you live in that room presumably, do you? I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed. Is there just a desk? Then why would you want to rent it? Well, I don't think I should have say, really. Then how about the notice board in there? Which is covered from top to bottom in confidential documents only the police should have had access to. No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. Only the other tidbits and bobs that belong to me, the desk and chair and all that. People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed in there, in your room? Well, obviously, I've not the faintest idea. I mean, it's caused me no end of bother, to be honest. Seems to me that Mr. Boone would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. That's how I'm finally going to undo this man. What difference does it make? That would explain this. If it's his room. Chat, I was so right. So these are the same person. Because he has that there as a portrait of his freaking wife. But I think it's too soon to say that yet. Maybe? Or maybe I do use it. Maybe it's time chat. Oh, it might be time. I don't know. I'm scared. But I can't think of anything else that would be used. Oh my god. No, wait. Of course, it's his wife. I don't even need to say for this.
Objection.
If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why it is that among these sparse furnishings we found this photograph in the room. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? No, well... Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. It's time. Reveal your identity as this young Irish man. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You really don't need to bother me. Please just leave it alone. As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it had no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Objection.
How can you be so sure? Look at the man. Not to disguise could ever hide those unmissable features. But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, counsel, what do you mean? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip itself is part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Ah! Good witness, are you still hiding truth from this court? If that's a disguise, then underneath it is his true identity must be... Yes, that's right. There's only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. I've been waiting for this moment, chat. No, please. Very well then, counsel. What's the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the street? It's Dolly Vigil.
Take that.
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. So it was a pseudonym. I don't recall that name, counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil? The name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Schulten's. Young gentlewoman came to the detective, asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Miss Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. Of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. Last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. We could be led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. That explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the vigil residence. Now, just hold on a minute. What I'm talking about, really? And you don't have the first idea what I'm talking about, really? It's simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise. Now, please. Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once. Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, you will restrain the witness. Oui, my lord. See, my lord. Ah! No, stop! Get off, please! Don't! Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. And before, this is another layer. This is all an elaborate setup. This is also a fake disguise. And now this whole thing was an elaborate ruse to try to get us to think that he's freaking Dally Vigil. And that Dally Vigil is actually somewhere completely different. And it's just, he's a Matryoshka doll of disguises. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, to the court. Have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but... There's a no question. This is Inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, a man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi in the park was you disguised as the Inspector, or rather, was you posing as the Inspector in no disguise at all. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the Chief Warder at Barclay Prison. The Chief Warder? Then your career had promise. Why would you quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison? What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Frenzo Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I am Dally Vigil. You were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. Did he actually? I'd say it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. The music playing is an arrangement of, whatchamacallit, of the witness when you're in the antechamber, I think. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagement at all. Desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Frenzo Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I opened an account on the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Frenzo Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. To inform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. And without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. Instead, you decided to conceal your occupation from them. Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to pouting gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece. You couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder of the prison. Very true, to have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks Inspector Gregson. What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? For some years after I had invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller, he, the inspector, that is, recognized me one day. You mean to say, the victim was an acquaintance of yours? Oh, God. I knew him from my time working in the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. From that day forward, he visited me on Frenzo Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Orsi's tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. Wait, sorry. I need to speak that in Gregson's voice. Visit the Orsi's tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. There's always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people on those occasions. He would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. Scotland Yard Inspector willingly relinquished his identification to your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need to point out, is very serious criminal offense. Oh, Gregson. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. Gained something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my Boone disguise, then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Sogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim killed another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the end of these 2 red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Oh goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Defense, for proving it. What? Ah! Is this it? Order, order! Did it appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts? These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim, as proven somewhat ironically by the defense. Ugh. I hereby call an end to this cross-examination.
Hold it!
Kazuma? Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question, counsel? Concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. Years ago, the execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that the case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Do the defense concur, counsel? Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama, no wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Soki's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Soki, do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Very well. Then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you'll answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. Forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. For some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. That not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruto? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time, but to have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yes, you're right. Not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. Human spirit is a fragile thing. It is broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry? The human spirit? Wait, I don't understand what you mean. He's saying that he blocked out the memories via trauma or something. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. The seal is broken, the memories resurface, and when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't. Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. Right. I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him, but should I present the evidence or not? The contradiction? It was that he is fired, right? Yeah. Oh, no. I think we have to, chat. Right? Oh, no. I have no idea how this is going to go, but this is a court of law, and I have duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. The dismissal notice. Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of prison staff members' employment. A dismissal notice? And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? 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 It's mine? So you didn't resign from prison service at all? For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? You were forcibly dismissed. There must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th of June, 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor. As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict ostensibly executed earlier that day later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there's a witness. However, the witness claimed that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing the executions at the time, but know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th of June 10 years ago. Now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil. Yes, the whole prison, it was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order! Do you mean say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of time have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, an October. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139, blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously something terrible had happened in there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. One black cyclops broken. Oh my god, that's basically what this is, Asha, dude. breaking psychic locks that he didn't even know he had, and we don't even need a Mag Thomas for that. I've reviewed the police record from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was death by metal pipe. That a member of prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes. Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came back to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. Riley Daly, this is serious business, but I cannot help you now. As Chief Warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution of 4, eh? Well, it seems the fellas at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over. Ah! And he's dead. Goodbye. I'm glad we could reawaken his trauma. Order, order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! Court's adjourned for today with immediate effect.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Cosima, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Always. It's always the damn freaking, it's Cosma. Whenever Cosma's involved, there's voice acting. Always. My god. Five black locks broken, as well as a man's soul. My god. How are things getting this crazy? I mean, we already knew that the prisoner had escaped execution, but my gosh, that is one hell of a twist. But I think with that, I can pretty safely say thank you all so much for watching. Wow, so Dali, it's not the biggest surprise that he ultimately upped the prisoner escape. Or not prisoner, well yeah, prisoner, the professor escape. But the thing is that why? Why would he do that if it was him? Was it really that traumatic? I guess it did get all blocked out. Based on his reaction, it seemed authentic enough. So I don't know. But, my goodness. There's so much. It's so freaking much. But hey, we reintroduced a man's trauma, all for the greater good, I guess. I mean, it is for the greater good ultimately, but it's an unfortunate way to have it all play out. Cosmo seems pretty pleased, I guess. And I guess we're gonna need to figure out just who actually did the deed in that room then. And what the hell was the professor's case all those years ago? Makes me wonder if there's even a 5th case in this game. At the rate we're going, it doesn't seem like it. But I guess we'll just have to see what ends up happening. Thank you for the cardboard pipe mystery. But yeah, I am freaking blown away by this game and how it just keeps sewing these mysteries deeper and deeper. So I'm really looking forward to when we now get to when we get to see more of this, because I really wanna see what happens. But we're gonna have to wait a week from now, because I stream this game every single Wednesday. We're gonna keep doing that until completion, unless it's like last year. I don't think it is though. Okay, we're barely dodging what happened last year by 1 day. Nice. Because last year I had to move my Wednesday stream to Monday, but not this time. Most likely anyways. But yeah, we're still a few streams out from finishing this, but we're getting close, and oh boy, things are heating up. We also have our weekly Silk Song stream this upcoming Friday, and we do a variety of stuff every single Saturday, so do all look forward to that. Don't really have anything else to say, so I think we are just gonna, you know, find someone else to go raid out to and share the love with. If there's anyone I feel like it. You know what? Maybe this person could be fun. Let's see. Seriously, I have been having a blast with this game. No crazy puzzles so far, but that's not a big deal. I look forward to seeing just how crazy things get at the very end of this case. Because, oh boy, there's still so much. And I'm worried about just what the connections are going to end up being. Not sure. Not really seeing anyone that I insanely want to raid out to. Well, maybe. There's one person I might. But we do got a couple possibilities. But we're gonna raid out to this person because it's been a hot second. But you know what? They're cool. So we are gonna be raiding out to the one and only Almi OP. Very, very cool streamer who does lots of silly stuff, both with friends and by himself. He's currently doing... My god, look at how long that name is! Okay, I need to add text wrap or something, because oh my god, that is so comically long. But he's currently playing, Mario Party Jamboree, 30 turns with friends, so I think we should go and say hello to him. Big group of cool people. Must say Nintendo Remaster. I know, Mr. E, I know. The title is so ridiculous. Probably the longest Nintendo title for a game in so long. But of course, we have both raid messages for subs and non-subs. Have a good day, night, morning, evening, dark hour, whenever it may be for you all, and see you all again this upcoming Friday for some more Silk Song. Bye-bye!